Shabbat Shalom. Hope y'all are doing well. We're here for our weekend reflection message. I am feeling really great. I went out with my mom for lunch yesterday. We had a great time. I went out with my sister last night and we had a great time. And we went to this little sports bar marina on the lake, and they have like really good barbecue ribs. So full rack, lots of good leftovers. Feeling really good, but I did watch the full lunar eclipse last night in Virgo, and y'all just watch the Virgo full moon solar eclipse workshop that I released this morning. I think it finally uploaded, but it is fire. So good. It was so good. And that moon, oh my gosh, you're not typically supposed to go out and like absorb the vibrations of eclipses. And you're not supposed to gather moon water during eclipses, but I always do just in case, I need a little bottle of chaos. I don't have traditional weapons around my house, but I've got some eclipse moon water if I need it, and solar eclipse water if I need it, I guess. To spray on an intruder. So I went out and looked at the moon, and it was a blood moon. So when the eclipse occurred, it looked red, and I kept checking in on it throughout the evening, and it just like had this eerie, very powerful energy to it. And the aura of the moon, it was like the energy was just washing over the sky in these pulsing waves. And it just felt like it was really purging and cleansing and moving around a lot. Now, last night, I felt like it was bringing all of my, dormant, leftover dust under the rug up to the surface. Like all the old sadness, old dread, fear, worry, anything like that. And I like dad stuff and all kinds of things. And typically I fall asleep while I'm relaxing because I work late and then I do stuff all day. I don't really take time to sit down and relax until it's pretty late at night. And so I don't like to just go straight to bed when I'm sleepy, because then I feel like I don't hang out. So sometimes I have a little couch nap, and I set my my timer so it wakes me up, and often I end up going to bed around 2 or 3, and that's when I'm like up saying my prayers, which is also a very powerful time to say your prayers. So I was just, really pouring my heart out in prayer last night, and just surrendering it all, feeling like a bag in the wind, as they say. And today, I can't tell you how many like wonderful little synchronicities and little angels came with messages throughout the day. So first, my friend alerted me to the fact that she had tried to purchase my 2025 prediction series, but the credit card thing kept glitching out and kept reloading the page and nothing would happen. And so she was imagining that other people had tried to do that, and it got frustrating and they might have given up, which is probably why I've had so many leads to the page and hardly anybody followed through on the purchase. So basically what happened was, when I opened my Stan store, I didn't have any history as a seller. And so Stripe Stripe is the automatic credit card payment processor that you can link to your Stan shop. Well, they wouldn't approve me until I had a couple of like purchases under my belt, I guess. And so today I was able to finally connect Stripe to my Stan and have it activated. Before that, I only had PayPal, but I think it still kind of gave you this option that maybe made it confusing. So I guess nobody ever just tried to use PayPal. I guess maybe the 2 people that ended up purchasing so far used PayPal. So that is fixed. So you guys, if you have tried to purchase the 2025 prediction series, which is a really amazing tool, it's a resource, it is a workshop for your soul development through this year and the themes that we will be working with, and it'll highlight challenges and opportunities that are coming that you can really fortify and prepare yourself for. I would say buy this workshop. It is $10. Just to clear up any confusion, it's not like you don't have to subscribe. It's just one-time purchase of $10. So that is there, and it is an invaluable tool, and I still need to go back and listen to March. But even after the fact, I went back and listened to January and February, and there's so much just like spiritual wisdom and things and Kabbalistic wisdom throughout the videos that any workshop, even if it's a month that's already happened, it's still really, really helpful. Really provides you a lot of insight and a lot of context even when you're looking back in hindsight. So I highly recommend that as a tool to put in your toolbox for the year to navigate and to kind of give you I think the most fulfilling and purposeful year. You know, sometimes it can feel like we're just being blown around in the wind. Back to the plastic bag reference. Isn't that song? But anyway, so this will help you feel like you can gain more context and, feel more purpose even when things maybe don't seem like they're going your way. You can kind of go back to that. So that is really good. And then what else happened? I went to the park and I was walking and I saw this woman. I had just been thinking about this random woman who had passed me in the fall, and she took a photo. She asked me if she could take my picture for me using my own phone. And she took pictures of me in this cute dress that I have. I was really bohemian looking, and she had me get in all the foliage, and I just blended in so well with my colors. I was wearing my top hat, and they were just such whimsical pictures, and everybody loved them when I posted them on Instagram. And I just was thinking about her. I was like, what was her name? Dawn, I think. And shit you not, here she comes, like from the distance, and I was like, I think that is her. And sure enough, it was. And we stopped to talk. And we got to talking about beliefs because I asked her, I was like, how's your business doing? And she was like, well, people are, really worried about spending money right now. So it's okay, but not amazing. And I said, well, I'll pray for your business to flourish. And she said, I didn't know that you were a praying person. We didn't get that far into our talk last time. And I said, oh yeah, very much so. So we started talking about like beliefs and stuff. And I'm telling her more about myself. And she was telling me about like this really unique church that meets at this really amazing stone chapel on Vanderbilt campus. And it's like an historical chapel, and I've seen it before, and I'm like, oh, I love this chapel. And so when she started describing the church, which is led by a woman pastor, and that she does a lot of philanthropy work in our city. And they were talking about she was talking about like the kind of like direction of the church and the philosophy of the church and the people there. There are a lot of professors and things. I'm like, oh my God, this sounds like maybe I finally found somewhere that I can possibly go to church. So I've been wanting to find some place. I just didn't know where I would belong. Nothing felt right. Nothing sounded right. So yeah, so I found out about that place. So I'm going to try to check that out soon. So I was super grateful. And then I stumbled upon the teachings of a man named William Donahue this week. Saw one video of him the other day, and then a couple more had showed up in my feed, and I started just saving them all, stockpiling them. He's a mystic teacher of the Bible, and his teachings are really interesting. But you can find him on TikTok. So I had all that, and then I've had the most amazing dreams over the past few nights. But this dream that I had last night, I was riding a white horse, up this steep hill in my neighborhood, and it was at night. It was really dark, and I was holding up my phone and casting a light on the ground, and I remember lighting up the horse hooves, and you could see the step by step how it was this dim light, but each step was illuminated. And I was standing on this horse bareback holding rope reins, and it was a white horse. And when I looked up all of these symbols, I was blown away at the meaning of this dream and the encouragement that it gave me that I was on the right path and I was going the right way. And I had a prophecy spoken over me when I was just a very young baby girl. that I would be a light in dark places. And that I had, the veil was very thin with me, and I would have a very powerful gift of prophecy. And so I have always, held that very close. And then my mom had been given a dream about me, that I would be able to read the Bible, and the words would just light up on the page. And so I think that all of that kind of came to, and we were talking about that at lunch the other day. And I just think that it was all very encouraging, because we are in Lenten season, and this represents the time that Jesus was in the wilderness and tempted by Satan to just take all the power, take the acclaim, take the throne. Don't go down the path of the crucifixion. You don't need to do that. It was like the temptation of Satan to want Jesus to give up. And so I believe that chosen people are being put under the pressure, particularly right now, to want to just throw in the towel. And we cannot. We were born for this. And everything that we've been through in our life that seemed so harsh and unfair and hard has wielded in us a strength that other people don't have, and a depth of understanding that other people have. And that phrase, like, that which does not kill us makes you stronger, and this is just preparing you for something else. And you're like, what the fuck are we being prepared for? Now is this. It is now. So I felt very refreshed and renewed and encouraged by all of this. So I'm, feeling actually pretty good about this eclipse season, because I know I've done the big overhauls and let go of the things that definitely were not on my current timeline. I've been shedding, the wrong career and the wrong relationship and all those things for years now with specific intention. And so I'm feeling like I'm almost feeling like the eclipse season is almost like a boomerang or like a slingshot. It's going to whip us into acceleration if you've been doing the work. So I'm very excited, very encouraged, and I want you to be too. So I had another really powerful channeling come through in my writing today on our post. So I'm going to do what I've been doing all week. I'm going to pause here, let you guys listen to the audio and see the picture. And I use David and Goliath. And there's all kinds of symbolic meaning in that. So go on TikTok and look up William Donahue, David and Goliath. And I thought that was interesting because that's one of the videos that I heard today while I was walking at the park. And I was like sitting there like cheering and like basically like gospel church, like walking alone, like in the park. People were like, she's verifiably insane. And I'm like, yes, I am. I'm insane. So it was super cool. So very exciting day. So I'm going to let you guys listen to the audio and enjoy the picture, and then we will be right back. So don't go anywhere. Be at peace. Things are moving, shifting, and changing. The stone that has been holding you in a state of suspension will soon be rolled away. Fix your consciousness on your deepest appreciation of how life's experiences have taught you and shaped you and strengthened you. Appreciate every past version of you that kept your heart and mind and consciousness open to be illuminated and filled with deeper love, compassion, and understanding. Hold tight to the vision that God has given you and celebrate. It is coming into fruition, and this will be very apparent soon. Hold on to your faith that you have heard the voice of the Holy Spirit and have been following it obediently. That you have been led, guided, and divinely directed. Keep believing. We have to believe before we see in order to reveal this miracle. Trust that God has a plan for you, and you have not been forsaken or forgotten. He might send a messenger with a helpful detail that you may have missed. Angels work in all kinds of ways. Pay attention to your dreams. I like dreammoods.com as a dream interpretation dictionary. It will not be long now. You have proven your devotion and commitment. Begin declaring your gratitude and faith that it is done. All right, so let's get into the cards. So from the Radiant Sun Oracle, we have appreciation, which is the moon in Leo, followed by vision, which is the sun in Pisces, followed by patience, which is Jupiter in Virgo. Feels like my stomach's about to growl really loud. Oh, it did. Under appreciation, we have the Hierophant. Underneath the vision, we have Three of Cups. I feel the belch coming. And underneath patience, we have the High Priestess. The spirits are moving. All right, y'all. Oh my God. So look at what we've got here. We have the moon highlighted, and the major influence over the weekend is definitely that full moon lunar eclipse. But what's interesting here is that we have the moon in Leo. Now, if you recall, we had a recent, in the past, I don't know, a couple of months, few weeks, we had, maybe there was a full moon in Leo where we were illuminated as to what we really stood for, and we were emboldened with the courage to stand up for those who are not as strong, for those who are being oppressed, standing up for what we believe in and speaking out. And Leo is very courageous and very honorable like that, and they get out in the spotlight and they say what they believe, and they share that, and they take up for others, you know. And so I feel like that energy is very strong right now. I feel that those who are spreading the light in the world, they're being emboldened to not really worry about backlash, not really worry about criticism, and not really focus on validation or being exalted either. They're just like, this is my calling. I need to do this, and if I don't do it, it will tear me apart inside, right? We have the lute player, or the lyre. I'm not sure what this is, like one of those old medieval guitars. She's playing this song. This muse is playing this melody. The bird here, we've talked about the bird, the image of the bird in these cards over and over again. It's like the messenger has come. So it's like there is a message that will speak to our heart. It will pluck our heartstrings like a beautiful melody and fill us with this appreciation, right? The cornucopia here is a harvest, a fruitful, abundant harvest, right? And so it's like right now, especially like paired with the Hierophant, it's like we're seeing the lessons that our life has given us, and what these things have really done for us. And this insight is bringing so much into fruition, not only emotionally and spiritually, but I believe that a lot of things that have challenged us, that we have, that the material ease that a lot of people have so easily, right? Like, oh, they found love so easily. They were able to start their business so much easier. Why? And here we are, so many of us chosen people struggle, and we have to come up against such adversity. And so I believe that because we have been devoted to that calling and that path, that the blocks are being moved. And what's so interesting here is we see this, the Hierophant is many times the spiritual authority, but I believe that we are having we're coming into our own sovereignty and having our own spiritual authority, not needing that intermediary to connect us to the Christ or to God, but knowing how to go within and connect and be our own gateway to that. See, you have the holy man here, or the priest, and he is sitting in the forest, in the woods, in nature, and he's seated quietly, and he has his eyes closed. He's in meditation and stillness. One of the aspects of the divine feminine, particularly the dark infertile mother or the dark feminine, is stillness, quiet, severity, to receive. So how many, when you see a relaxed, calm, peaceful woman, and she's seated quietly and she's at peace and she's serene, how attractive is that? How calming is that? How comforting is that? So that is a very powerful essence. But how many of us now in this fast-paced moving world feel so uncomfortable sitting in quiet and in peace and in stillness? But it's in that quiet, peace, and stillness that we receive the keys to unlock the inner power and the inner understanding and the inner wisdom and the inner strength within. This is when the Holy Spirit, the high priestess, is in union and in tune with the Holy Spirit. The voice of the Holy Spirit speaks to the high priestess. So we have the masculine aspect of the spiritual authority here present in this reading, as well as the divine feminine aspect of the spiritual authority. The divine feminine, the high priestess here, holds the Torah. She holds the secrets of the Torah in her lap. And so the word of God can come through you from the inside, because the Christ appeals to the soul. That's why, you keep seeing these images of him going to the well and speaking to the women at the well, right? The well is where they gather the water, right? The water gives life, it's nourishment. And so the well is the source of that. And so we go within in this quiet meditation, and we have the keys here that unlock the kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And so the shape of the priest's hat is the same shape as the pineal gland, right? And so this is how we awaken and tap into that third eye, that single eye. And that's another thing that William Donahue was talking today. He kept bringing up when Jesus talked about when your eye becomes single, your body is filled with light. And so all of this it's all clicking. The revelation is clicking and is setting in. And so we are channeling in this new illumination, this new understanding, but also these new miracles that are going to be flowing through and change, and the way our life is going to change, because we've changed on the inside. We are showing up in life differently, and our world is going to start changing around us in different ways. And so we are the leadership of the church right now, is in flux, obviously. I mean, there are the world, all the eyes of the world are on the church and Jesus and what that means, and who is trying to bear false witness and who is speaking the truth. I think it's so interesting and not an accident at all that during these times, the chosen was brought through and revealed through Dallas Jenkins. I think it's a masterpiece. I honestly do. And it is so powerful, and that show's so alive. And I think that what it does is it brings to life these words that can fall flat on a page. So many times there's not a lot of detail, and it's hard to really put yourself in the time and let it come alive in you. But when you can see it in context, in human context, with people having these conversations rather than just trying to read these difficult words off a page, you're like, oh my gosh. And when you see the miracles being done, it's just so wonderful. So there's all of this heightened awareness and attention on the Christ consciousness, Jesus. Who is Jesus? Who is Jesus not? What is Christianity? What is Christianity not? In what ways has it been perverted and misused and exploited for the agenda of people who want power and money, and so we are in this reformation right now of the archetype and the idea of church itself, and who we go to and trust as far as our spiritual mentors, and who we trust as these voices of spiritual truth in our life. And also understanding that to a certain degree, we can tune in and do our own studies and with guidance, right? Because their Bible is a code. It's not to be read literally. So it does take some work to begin to lay the foundation to understand what you're reading and what it really means. But to spend time with it, whether you understand it or not, it does start to do work on you, and you will have insights and illumination coming forward because your desire is there. So we have to be able to have that desire to seek it out for ourselves, right? And then to also develop our own intuition, because that intuition will lead us to a place where we are safe, right? Like today when I ran into Dawn on the path, it's amazing because this girl had reached out to me about a reading today. And, my earthly mind was like, you should be ambitious. You should take that reading, even if it's last minute. And the feminine in me, the high priestess, was like, no, you spent all day yesterday running around and being with people. And today you need to be quiet, and you need to spend this day in solitude. And doing that spiritual connection by quieting your mind, by listening, by letting, observing your thoughts and opening your heart and listening to your heart. And so this day, has been so nourishing to me, much more so than the money that I would have made, even in service to someone else, helping them connect with their soul. But the more urgent thing for me today was to trust that if she needed a reading from me, that I wouldn't miss out on it, and that we could schedule it for another day. So I trusted that inner authority, and I trusted that inner intuition, that inner guidance, and it led me the right way. I also had this weird thing happen where this girl I follow on YouTube, she's a Christian creator, and she makes videos. And so I've been watching her videos recently, and I noticed that I was getting a lot of suggested videos that seemed to be her, but they were coming in such rapid fire. And when I went to go to her main channel, because sometimes I'll see a video that's suggested and I'm like, oh, I'm not ready to watch that, but I will go straight to the channel and look it up. And so I would be going to her channel. I'm like, where are these videos? I don't understand. So then I noticed that under one video, it suggested that I subscribe to the channel. I'm like, hey, I'm already subscribed to her channel. Something's wrong. And so I looked, and sure enough, it was like something was fishy. And I figured out that somebody had either hacked her account, or they were just reposting her videos and pretending to be her. And so I wrote that in the comments, and I noticed that further down, somebody else had pointed it out too. And then this person commented, I talk to her all the time. This is her other channel. It's okay. This is her channel. And I was like, maybe that's true, but no offense. Who are you and how do you know this? And they were like, well, I talked to her and she has it. She has a second channel. And I was like, well, it doesn't indicate that anywhere on her main channel. So where is she, how do you know this? And she said, she mentions it on her old videos. So I was like, okay, all right. Well, I was like, maybe she'll come on camera and tell us for sure, what's going on. So no shit, today, she gets on and makes a video that she's like, oh my God, she's been under all of this crazy chaos lately. She had this stalker following her. She's in Austria. It was this whole thing. And she was like, and now somebody's trying to hack my backup account and has been trying to get people to give them money and all this stuff. And she was like, I just feel like I want to give up. And I'm like, no, you don't, you dare give up. And by the end of the video, she's like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to give up. But it was so interesting. So I was like, don't worry, your intuitive followers sniffed this out and warned people about it in the comments. So don't be afraid. People have figured it out. Don't worry. So very interesting. So developing your own intuition, developing your own discernment. It is a discipline and it takes work, but I mean, we need it more than ever. These are increasingly more and more interesting times. And as the old era comes to a close, the structures are still standing. And so the structures are going to be crumbling. And new structures and foundations and systems are going to be built, but we are going to have to navigate some turbulent waters for a while. And so we need our intuition. We need that inner discernment, and we need it to be strong. So, doing your own Bible study, finding, a reputable way to study, and even looking into I love studying Judaism because I think that gives you don't even know the context. Like, I personally study Hebrew Kabbalah because that gives you the symbolic foundation to understand the depths of the Torah, not just the legalistic dogma and what's on the surface. And it's just not the morals and ethics, but it's the spiritual underlying message and encoding of the Bible. So you understand it as a manual to awaken the soul rather than a history book or a book of, a recording of, a people's culture. It's not necessarily that, and it's not necessarily an instructional manual on the surface, but it's on a deeper symbolic level. So we have that coming through in these cards. Now, appreciation also on the surface right now. If you have a dream or a goal or a calling that you've been working towards, I feel like between these cards right here, the vision, the patience, and the appreciation, it's all about having patience right now, releasing your anxiety about when and what and how, and just staying focused on the vision, and then connecting with that inner vision, right? And declaring with appreciation and certainty, like a little child, that you are so grateful that it is already a done deal, that it's already happening. We have to believe in this miracle, in miracles, before we see them, and that reveals the miracle. That's the magic sauce right there. So believing before you see, that is what channels the miracle through. Now, 3 of Cups, we have 3. This is the number of resurrection. And so we're in this resurrection season, but the 3 of Cups also is a card about celebration and achievement and accomplishment, celebrating some life affirming event, like an engagement or a pregnancy or graduation. It could be a gathering of friends, and being in good company. But I think this is cheers. Yes, things are coming through. Things are coming to fruition. We're coming into spring, and things are going to be blossoming and blooming in your life. Now, I love the fact that this resurrection card is paired with the Pisces card here. The Pisces is the Christ. The Pisces is the Christ of the zodiac. So I think this is so interesting how we have the high priest here meditating and opening up that pineal gland with the keys to the kingdom here. And then we have the single eye, the third eye here representing the pineal gland. Our inner vision, our ability to have that clairvoyance and that inner knowing, and that voice of God speaking to us directly, and having that direct understanding. Then we have the sun represented here, which is the illumination, the light, and also directly correlates to the Son of God, right? The Yeshua, Jesus, the Christ. This is in every pagan story and telling and I guess myth, the cosmic truth is always being revealed. In all of these events in nature, the truth of Christ is always being proclaimed everywhere you look. And so there's so much to do with the solstices. And this is something that I always talk about around Christmas and the winter solstice, always. So I could go on for hours about that, so we're not going to go deep into depths there. But again, you can binge on some of the clips of William Donahue's teachings on TikTok, and he gets into it, but they're good at like separating them out into these increments. So yes, we have the vision here. We have the celebration. So keep focused. Stay focused on moving forward, taking one step at a time. God will reveal the next step and the next step and the next step. Just like in my dream, the light wasn't bright. It didn't light up so far ahead of me, but it was like the lamp of the hermit, and it was the phone. And what does the phone represent? Communication, right? Communication and the way that we share communication and the way we capture all that communication today, the content creation and everything. So it's like the light that is within me, I'm sharing with others through the tool of the internet, the phone, right? But I am using that as a lamp to light the path for others. And so, we see that when we see the light held up by the hermit, it's not illuminating miles ahead. It's not on high beams. It's just this faint glow that will reveal each step one at a time, maybe two at a time, but you're not gonna have your guarantee. You don't know for sure because you're moving, you're groping through the dark, right? We're supposed to find our way to ease and inner peace, even amidst uncertainty, even in the midst of darkness. We have to build that trust, and that something sturdier than faith, something way sturdier than hope. It is certainty. Certainty is a choice. It is a choice to believe in God's goodness, and that God will deliver you, and God will intervene for you, and God is guiding you, and that God has a plan for you, and that if you make an effort with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, that you will be brought through the storm and brought to your path. So keep believing. Believe before you can see it. Already celebrate the fact that it's happening, that blessings are coming into your life, that you are being led and guided and protected, and you are divinely directed. So just speak words of life over your life. Pray out loud and declare and decree all the beautiful things coming in. Like, don't ask, just start declaring it in celebration and in gratitude, right? Think of a father. If you were like, oh my God, oh Dad, you're so great, you're so nice for doing this for us. Like, oh wow, isn't Dad great? Dad's the best in the world. Like, after that, is Dad gonna be like, actually, I'm not gonna do that for you? He'd be like, okay, well, since everybody's already having such a good time, I hate to disappoint you now. Like, be let's see, what is the right word? Have the audacity to pray and decree things like King David did. David prayed with audacity many times. So, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and then all things shall be added to you. Like, don't go around entitled with you're like starving and like lust driven, and think like, oh, I'm gonna get everything I want just the way I want it, and I'm gonna and just be like praying for titles and materialism and all of that. Like, first get your consciousness right, value the right things. But when you put your heart and your consciousness in the right place, you start to desire the right things, right? And it's not that we shouldn't have wealth and prosperity and good health and love in our lives. We should. Because if we have that, and we also have the consciousness and the sense of sharing and the heart to back it up, then that we are very powerful channels of sharing when we have resources, when resources are given to the right people. So resources themselves are not evil, but absolute lust for material things leads to darkness and evil acts, for sure. We can see that in this world now. And by the way, the boycotts are really, really making a difference. And finally, I'm starting to hear people say the obvious: sell your shares in these companies. Don't just stop shopping there. Actually sell your shares if you're invested. And there's other ways to grow your money with interest than just investing in stocks, right? You can do other things, like having like a gold IRA, or having high yield savings, or buying CDs from the banks and things like that. So just get in there and look at some interest rates and things. But there are many other companies and sectors that aren't so popular, that are necessities that we have to maintain the world. And so they're just not the glamorous like main corporations that people know about that seem easy to invest in. But there are many sectors that are doing great things. Like you can invest in like, scientific companies that are doing things and creating things. You can invest in all kinds of different sectors that are doing good, that aren't necessarily like the most obvious brands that you're aware of. So having patience now, resting in peace, knowing that good things are coming, having that God's rest, that fulfillment, that deep fulfillment. And what do we have here? We have the feminine represented by the high priestess. The high priestess sits in stillness. She sits in meditation. She sits with her studies. She sits with the voice of her heart and soul, and the voice of God and the voice of the Holy Spirit coming through, speaking to her. And that's how she's awakened the secrets of the Torah. That's why she holds the secrets of the Torah, right? So the divine feminine can sit in that quiet, right? And what is required in order to sit still and in quiet? Patience. If you don't have patience, you can really be messed with, and you will fly off the handle, and you will fall into reactive behavior and reactive consciousness and reactive thinking. But the stronger your patience is, the stronger your center is. You're not thrown off your center. You're not thrown into a bad mood. You're not thrown into frustration. You're not thrown into reactive behavioral actions, right? You're patient. You have the threshold to withstand it. And so this can be anything from having the patience to stick with something that you're not good at until you become good at it, having the patience to simply sit in quiet and meditation and develop that practice and discipline. Having the patience to read through the scriptures when they seem outlandish and insane, and you're like, I don't understand this, like I'm enraged reading this, just having the patience to stick with it, not give up on yourself, having the patience to put years and years into your dreams and not see a lot of return for them, right? I work with, I love that I have this kind of community of people around me, but everybody at my job, I work at a restaurant at night. We're all artists in some way, and we're all trying to make something happen. We're all creators. And, I see these people alongside myself put our blood, sweat, and tears in things, and yet we're still having to put on the apron, come into work, do the dirty work, get our hands dirty, serve other people, having a good time. Well, we're not, we are having a good time. We do have a really good time, but it's so nice to be around other people that have patience to refine their craft, and they stick with their dreams, even though they're not getting rich. And we all know that we may never get rich. But if we can find a way to make a living and also be able to spend enough time making beauty and making that art and using our creative talents to share with others, then that's something, that's a life that we live on purpose. And we would all like to make it. We'd all like to get rich, and be able to retire and take care of each other and support each other in our dreams. But we all know that may not happen either, and we're going to just keep on keeping on and keep doing our thing. And so nothing is stopping you from using your creative talents and following your dreams and living in your dreams. Just because you're not on the cover of a magazine, and you don't have a billion followers. Like even my friend who's a poet, she's technically a famous poet. She's got over 100,000 followers, and she has published poetry books, but she's not rich. She's still serving tables right next to me. So just because you go viral and have a huge following, it does not guarantee, and just because you're famous, it does not guarantee financial freedom. None of it guarantees anything. Just because you get rich and famous doesn't guarantee you fulfillment or happiness either. And so, it's about finding your fulfillment and happiness and peace that is unshakable, and it's not determined by results or circumstances. But that takes patience too. That's living in a state of patience. And so I am feeling good about stopping there. We're in Purim, so this is the celebration of Esther in the Bible, who saved the Jewish people by marrying an evil king, from what I can remember. I don't know tons about the story of Esther, so I need to go back and research that. But I encourage you guys all to look up Esther. But she was able to change the consciousness of this oppressive king who was an enemy of the Jewish people by through love, through kind of like falling on the sword and sort of turning his heart. And so she saved the people that way. So again, look up his Esther, and so will I, because I need to get more of the details of the story. But I think that's essentially like the footnotes. But changing darkness into light and changing what was once a hard, imposing and reactive consciousness into a consciousness of appreciation, of Christ consciousness, of that inner vision, and having patience and love for one another. That opens up the gates of the upper realms to just flood our lives with miracles and light and goodness, and it tips the scales of the cosmos big time. The upper realms rejoice when we can change what was a closed mind and a hard heart, and we can change that and bring it into the light. The upper realms are celebrating, they are glorified, they are uplifted, they are empowered, and God is glorified in that as well. All the more so than if you just maintain the status quo of goodness, like, oh, I am a Christian speaking to other Christians, and we're all just echo chambering that we agree with one another. Like, that's fine, but that doesn't really do a lot. So that's why I'm here on the fringes, doing what I do the way I do it, talking to the people who I talk to, which is those of us who are, I don't know what I would call the motley crew, or the diamond dogs, the outcasts, and the people on the fringe, which are my people. So I love y'all. Check out the 2025 prediction series. You will be able to pay with PayPal or Stripe now. If you still have glitches, then make sure to just switch over to like the Chrome browser, and that should help. That should do it. All right, you all. Peace be with you. Love ya. Ciao.